Quizmaster for this afternoon. Welcome along to essentially the final part if you've attended enough of the report designer sessions. We are repeating them starting tomorrow, just if there's any sessions you have missed, or if you do the quiz today and you think, ooh, I wasn't quite sure of that, maybe I could do with a bit of a recap, you're more than welcome to sign up. As I say, they start from session number 1, and they run, that starts tomorrow, and they run throughout October again with the 2 quiz sessions at the end. So if you feel like you need to attend, please do so. Link will be included on your follow-up email. Just before we get stuck in, just as usual, normal rules apply. Don't need a microphone for these sessions. If you've got one, if you enable it, it will be muted. And similarly, if you have any questions for me today, pop them in the questions panel. To access that, you just click the little speech bubble icon. I'm assuming most of you, everyone will be familiar with that one. But pop them in the questions via the questions panel. Remember to click send, otherwise I don't see them. So any comments, questions you might have, pop them in there and I will try and react to them. We don't have time to go off and doing any demos today though. It's quite a jam-packed session when we run these quizzes, quite a bit to get through. Now, as normal, the session will be recorded. You'll receive a follow-up email. The follow-up email will include a link to the recording. It will include a link so you can register for the upcoming webinars, and also so you can access our previous recordings as well. So there are the recordings for the previous report designer sessions are there as well, and a lot more on the recordings page. Well over 100 topics, including others on report designer as well. So again, watch out for that follow-up email. You'll get that round about an hour after you finish. Not many of you logged in this afternoon. I wasn't expecting it to be many with it being the repeat session. So I've only got 8 of you logged in currently. So when I ask the questions, please answer quite quickly if you can. Submit your answer. I'll come on to that in just a moment, and we'll try and get through as quick as we can. Now, these are the sessions that we have run through. So again, as I say, we are rerunning these starting tomorrow. So if you've attended 5 of the 7 topics plus the quiz, then you will earn that digital badge. The digital badge will be issued via email once we have completed the repeats. So you're looking towards just before the October half term. So it's what's that, about the 22nd or so. Round about then, we'd expect those emails to start going out to you. We are in the process at the moment, if anyone did attend the data management sessions, those are in the process of being sent out, hopefully this week. So again, watch your mailbox. You should receive an email for that one if you qualified. Now, as far as the quiz is concerned, we're going to run through 4 rounds today. So each round containing 5 questions. So we'll run a round, we'll run through some quick answers, we'll go on to the next round, etc. And then we got that final round. We always try to put an anagram at the end, just to try and get your brain cells working again. And then just right at the end, if we've got time, we'll explain more about the additional support. And obviously, if there's any outstanding questions, I'll try and pick those up as well. Now, for those of you where it's your first quiz, how it's going to work. Basically, it is an opportunity to test your knowledge, see what you've picked up during the various sessions that you've been attending. There are obviously multiple rounds relating to the various sessions that we have run. We'll be using the poll facility. Some of you will have interacted with that before. So similar to the screenshot on the right, that's the kind of thing that's going to appear on your screen. So it'll have the question on there, the answers, just in case if you're choosing the answer, and then clicking submit. Now, I will share the results with you for what people vote for, but it doesn't identify you in any way, so have a stab at it if you're not sure. But again, make a mental note if you're not sure about questions as well. Is it something that would benefit from you, from maybe watching the recording, working through it at your own time? So as I say, we'll work through the answers at the end of each round as well. And results aren't marked, so we don't track those. Just in case, so keep your own score. I'll ask at the end how you think you got on, and we'll take it from there. So good luck. Hope you enjoy it, and hope you get them all right. That means I've done a good job then. We'll see how we get on though. So let's start with round 1. We'll pop your first question on the screen for you. So question 1 is, when you click Send to Excel, which records are sent? Is it A, all records, including those that are hidden? Is it B, all records that are listed? Or is it C, only those records that are highlighted? So this takes us back around to topic number 1, where we looked at things to think about before you actually wanted to make changes to your report. So you requested a new report. So when you click Send to Excel, so let's say looking at your customers, which records are sent? So is it all records, including those that are hidden? Is it B, all records that are listed? Or is it C, all records that are highlighted? Now, what I'll tend to do, with the numbers being fairly low today, I'll wait till I get about 75, 80% of you having voted, then I'll close the poll and I'll share the results with you as well. Again, if you don't know, just have a stab, see if you get it right. Take an educated guess. Right, I'll close that one, share the results with you so you can see what people have gone for. Quite an even split today. Just slightly ahead is option B, all records that are listed. Obviously, we'll go through the answers in a few minutes' time. Question 2. So question 2 is, sorting your customer list into balance order applies this order to your reports. So if you were to put them by outstanding balance in, let's say, ascending order on your customer list, if you run a report, will they be in the same order or will it just default to standard? So is that true or false? Okay, votes coming through fairly quickly, so great. Right, again, I'll share the results. So we've got about a third of you going for true and 2/3 of you going for false. Obviously, if you've got your software, you don't really have enough time to test it when I go through this, which is good to see if you know off the top of your head or not. If you do get a bit of time and you watch the recording back, try it in your software as you're going through. Right, let's hide that. On to question 3. So question 3, if you apply a filter to your list of customers, will it affect your colleagues' view? So this is something our support team get asked about all the time. Something that I get asked on our webinars all the time, and when Laura and Matt are asking about content for their webinars as well, I always say, right, have you considered this? So have you considered the fact that you're going to get a question saying, right, if I do that, will it affect my colleagues? So is that a yes or a no? So if you apply a filter to, let's say, your suppliers list or your products and services list, so you can only see certain ones, will that affect what your colleagues can see? Share the results with you. So we've got 250 going for yes and 350 going for no. Sure, I'll find out in just a couple of minutes there. Right, still this time linking to session number 2, I think it was, where we looked at personalizing your invoices. So how many logos can you add to your invoice layout? Is it 1? Is it 2? Or is it third option, as many as you like? Is there a restriction on that one? So is it 1, 2, or as many as you like? And that would go for any other layout for that matter as well. So it's not just invoice layouts. We did cover invoice layouts, and that's what we concentrated on in session number 2. But as we mentioned on those sessions, whatever you learn on that session, it can be applied to other layouts as well. Brilliant. And then the sorry, I think one of the options is not quite working there for when I've clicked it. Okay, we'll go straight on to question 5. So question 5, your data is held on a server. If you amend your invoice layout, will your colleagues see those changes? So is that yes or no? Again, very popular question, that one. And every time I run that session number 2, we always get asked that. So if I amend my invoice layout, do my colleagues see that? Or are they going to do it? Or have I got to start copying layouts across? So would your colleagues see any changes? All right, all the answers coming through. Brilliant. Don't worry if you don't get a chance or you forget to click submit, just make a note of what your response would have been if you can. Just quickly share that for those final answers with you. So again, 2/3 going for yes this time, 1/3 going for no. Right, okay, let's get stuck into some answers. So round 1 answers. So question 1, when you click send to Excel, which records are sent? It's all records that are listed. So if you've got any hidden because you've got, say, filters applied, so you might have 0 balance accounts hidden, for instance, or ones that don't meet your filter requirements, they would not be included on your report. And it's all records that are listed, so it doesn't matter when it's sent to Excel if you've got anything highlighted or not. It would apply when you run reports, that one. So, if you've got your 100 customers listed and you highlight 2 of them, it'll only run the report for what you've got selected. But when you click send to Excel, it sends everything across, so it ignores that highlight selection. So give yourself a point if you got that one. Question 2, sorting your customer list into balance order. Applies this order to your reports? It doesn't. So whatever's on the report, it will always override whatever sort you've got applied to the likes of your customer list or your nominals or your bank records or anything like that. It will look at the report itself. The report, essentially the report designer will just pull through the data and then it will essentially do its own thing. So the answer to that one is false. Question 3. If you apply a filter to your list of customers, will it affect your colleagues' view? No, it won't. When you apply a filter or a sort to any of the lists within the software, it's very much a user-specific setting, that one. So it would follow you around if you went to log onto someone else's PC as yourself, and on PC 1 you'd sorted your customers into, let's say, balance order. When you go into customers, it would pull that setting through for you, but it wouldn't impact your colleagues. And it means that you're not going to get that sort of almost that constant tussle if someone likes a filter applied, or the customers or invoices or whatever sorted in a particular order. You're not fighting against each other to sort of win superiority on that one. So it is user specific. So the answer to that one is no. If you ever find it where your colleague can see something and you can't, or vice versa, remove your filter and refresh your sort. Question 4, how many logos can you add to your invoice layout? It's as many as you like. There's no restriction on that one. Easy to change, as you would have seen demonstrated in session number 2, where we looked at personalizing your invoices. So add as many as you like. We see all sorts on there. You have your company logo. People put trade logos on there. Around about Christmas time, you see the old clip art coming out. So holly and berries and Santas and Christmas trees and things like that. I don't know if you ever receive invoices with them on there, but we do see them on people's designs. So very easy to change and remove and add if required. So as many as you like is the correct answer to question number 4. Question number 5, your data is held on a server. If you amend your invoice layout, will your colleagues see the changes? Simple answer to that one is yes, they will. Now, it's going to be potentially it's different with reports because there are different settings for that. But with your layouts are essentially located almost on the same path as your data. So if your data is located on a server, then your layouts are held on a server, and whoever connects to that data would pick up them layouts from the same location. So if you do make that change, then your colleagues will see that. The exception is if you're using remote data access, the first time you make a change, it will sync remotely. So if it's never done it before, it will essentially the updated layout would be pushed across, it would sync. But any subsequent changes to that same layout would not sync. And that's where you would maybe need to get involved in copying layouts across, or maybe doing a layouts only backup and then restoring that on the other PC. But that's only if you use remote data access. But if you're connecting direct to the data that's held on the server, then yes, your colleagues will see those changes. So hopefully you're getting on all right so far. We'll quickly move on to round 2. So question number 6. So question 6, you've edited an invoice layout, you're happy with it. What's your next step? So what did I recommend on this one? You can spend a lot of time investing it in making sure your invoice does look right, but what would be your next step? Do we recommend that you archive a copy of your data? Is it B, you take an all files backup? Or is it C, you take a layouts only backup? But what did we recommend for that one? Again, I'll just wait till I get a decent percentage of you voting for that one. Remember to submit your answer once you've selected. And then once we've got a decent percentage, we'll close that down. Right, excellent. Okay, let's quickly share the results with you again. So we got 20% of you going for taking all files backup and 80% going for take a layouts only backup. Right, on to question 7. So question 7. If you edit a default customer report, bear in mind it's a default, so would need to do a file save as. Which folder will it then try to save it into? Is it your favorites folder? Your recent reports folder? Is it the same folder as the original? Is it the My Customer Reports folder, or E, the All Reports folder? So what do you think for that one? Favorites, recent reports, same as the original, My Customer Reports, or All Reports? Again, if you're not sure, take an educated guess. Remember, we don't mark these. There's no pass mark for the quiz. So don't be scared to just have a guess if you're not sure. Obviously, we'll be running through the answers just to explain them in a bit more detail in just a couple of minutes. Excellent. So 2 answers chosen there. So option C, same as the original report, and about 2/3 of you going for the My Customer Reports folder. Question 8. So question 8, how can you change the name of your invoice layout? Now this is a multi-select option. Might not be multiple answers, but it is a multi-select option. So choose all that apply. So how can you change the name of your invoice layout? Is it A, double click the layout and then rename it? Is it B, right click the layout and then choose the option change name and description? Or is it C, edit the layout and then it's report properties? So how can you do that? So if you wanted to change the name of your, say, your invoice layout to say like your company's name and then the word layout or the word invoice layout, for instance, how can you do that? So A, double click the layout, B, right click the layout, or C, edit the layout. Remember, there's a possibility it could be more than one correct answer there. Brilliant. Okay. So this is what you voted for. So 1/3 of you gone for A, double clicking the layout. 2/3 of you gone for right clicking the layout, and everyone that voted there went for the final option, edit the layout. Right, let's quickly move on to question 9. Pop that one on your screen. So when editing a report, what's the easiest way to see if an object is a text object or a variable? Would you double click it? Would you hover your mouse over it? Or would you right click it? How would you find out if it's text or a variable? This is something that we covered a number of times on the various webinar topics that we run. So is it A, double click it, B, hover your mouse over it, or C, right click it? If you were late joining us there, I noticed there's a few others joined us. If you were late joining us, don't worry, there's no pass mark for the quiz. But if there's any questions you have missed or you get called away or interrupted during the quiz, don't worry, the link to the recording will be sent out afterwards. Excellent. So on this occasion, everyone has gone for option B, hover your mouse over it. So is everyone right or is everyone wrong? And final question in round 2. So question 10, which option would you use to add your website address to your invoice layout? Is it A, add a data field, or is it B, add text? So think about if you were doing it, how would you add it? Right, okay, let's close that one. Just quickly share those results with you. So 17% of you going for add a data field and 83% of you going for add text. Right, let's again run through some answers quickly. So question round 2 and question 6. So you've edited an invoice layout, you're happy with it. What's your next step? Now you could take an all files backup, but that does include your data files. If you ever edit your layouts, take a layouts only backup. That's what I would always recommend, that take a layouts only backup. And it means that if in the future you make a mess, or for whatever reason, maybe you or one of your colleagues accidentally deletes the layout, if there's any confusion at that point, it means that you can restore your layouts only backup. The problem with an all files backup is if you need to restore that, it means that it restores your data files as well. So it would take your data back to that point in time. You could potentially cover your back by backing up your data only at that point, restoring your all files backup, and then restoring your data only backup at that point. But we'd always recommend take a layouts only backup. If you design reports yourself or you amend them, take a reports only backup, and it means you've got those saved. So worst case scenario, you would restore that layouts only backup, you're back up and running. So it's probably the option that's least disruptive. Obviously, as you've probably seen in the webinars, or if you've tried it yourself, you can spend a long time sort of getting your layout to be just right, particularly if you're new to the report designer. So we'll cover your back and take that layouts only backup. Question 7, if you edit a default customer report, which folder will it then save into? It is the My Customer Reports. Each of your ledgers that has a reports option. So where you've got reports on the toolbar at the top, when you go into that, it'll have a My, whatever the ledger is, reports folder. So My Customer Reports, My Supplier Reports, My Nominal Report, My Bank Reports, and that's where it would default to. It just means if you're looking for any reports you've created yourself in a particular ledger, that's where to head. So well done if you got that one. Question 8, how can you change the name of your invoice layout? Select all that apply. The two options there is option B, right click the layout, and there is an option to change the name and description. And other option is to edit the layout, which we demonstrated in the webinar itself. Some of you might not have come across the right click the layout. It's something that we did cover in the webinar, but you might one of those that maybe you just sort of went fleeting past that, but we did cover it. So you can just when you've got your list of layouts, you can right click it and you'll get an option to change name and description. Now, if it's your own layout, which is what it indicates in the question, the right click will actually work. So it'll let you change the name and the description. If it's a standard layout, so essentially read only, if you right click, you'll still choose the option change name and description, but it's only the description that you'll be able to change. So if you've edited your layout, you've done that file save as, then you'll actually have either option that you can follow. Question 9, when editing a report, what's the easiest way to see if an object is text or a variable? Hover your mouse over it, simple as that. You might remember when we covered that one when we were looking at data fields on the various webinars that we've been running. Just hovering your mouse over it. If it's text, it just puts like that sort of highlight box around it. Nothing else happens. But if it's a variable, you'll actually find that you'll get that floating box pop up. It'll say a variable. You would have seen it when we did that for expressions as well. You hover over, it'll say expression and whatever the title is. But if it's a variable, it would tell you the detail of the name of the table and also the variable itself, simply by hovering your mouse over it. If you did double click it, it would bring up the expression editor, and that's another way that you can tell. If you double click it, it brings up the expression editor if it's a variable. If it's text and you double click it, it will actually put just a flashing cursor inside the box. But easiest way is just to hover your mouse over the top of it. Final question in round 2 is, which option would you use to add your website address to your invoice layout? Give yourself a point if you chose either of these. I wonder how many of you sat there thinking, well, actually, I could do either. I could add it as the data field. And therefore, for the website address, you would say, right, company it would be the company table and the website variable. It would pull that through from the company preferences area in the software. However, things like your website address, email addresses, telephone numbers, things like that, it can be added as text. It's just as easy, and it means that it's information that's pretty much static. It's not going to change. So you could just add it as text, and then if things do change, it would either mean you go into company preferences and you amend your website address, and it would then automatically go through if you've got that inserted as a data field. Whereas if you'd add it as text, it'd just be a case of editing your layout and then clicking on the text field and amending that text. Sometimes text is just that little bit easier, but it's entirely up to you in that instance. Both are very valid answers to that one. Right, let's get stuck into round 3 then. Hopefully you're doing all right so far. You might be sitting there thinking, oh, well, yeah, feeling confident, probably learned a lot more than I should have. Others, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, I haven't got a clue. I've got loads wrong. I better watch them again. Right, let's get on to round 3 then. So we'll start with question 11. So question 11 is, which table contains the variable or the variables for customer record information? Is it A, company? Is it B, customer ledger? Or is it C, sales ledger? So which table contains that? I remember, if you're not sure about which table of the name of a particular variable, if you did attend that session, so session number 3, when we talked about tables and variables, we talked about using the resource from our help center, where you can essentially browse through an equivalent of the software, and then you just hover your mouse over the relevant field and it would give you the name of the table and the variable that you need to use. Right, close that one. Getting share results. It's gone 50-50 this time round. So 50% going for customer ledger and 50% going for a sales ledger. Straight on to question 12. So statement this time. So question 12. Expressions can contain only numeric data. Is that true or is it false? So expressions can contain only numeric data. I think the polls are running a little bit slow today for some reason. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's my internet connection, whether it's just the platform we're using, but they're taking a little bit longer to load than normal. Great. Okay, let's close that one. Share the results. So 70% of you going for true, 83%, or the majority going for false. Question 13. So question 13, which expression would show the account reference and name in, or I should say, in the following format? So I want something like SA123 space dash space and then the company name. So which of those expressions would result in that if I inserted that onto a report? So they're exactly the same other than the middle bits. So A, B, or C. So there's subtle differences there. So choose your answer. It's one of the ones that when we dealt with expressions, I find it one of the most interesting of the sessions to talk about. And if you are wanting to play around with it a little bit, it's probably one of the more sort of interesting ones. And I think if you can really understand expressions, you can get a lot more from the report designer. So loads of supporting information in our help center on that one as well. Right, let's close that one. Quickly share the results with you. So we got about a third of you going for option A, 57% of you going for B, and 14% of you going for C. You'll find out in just a couple of minutes. Question 40. A filter can be added to which of the following? Is it the A, the whole report, B, a section on the report, C, an object such as text or a data field on the report, or is it D, all of the above? So a filter can be added to which of the following? Is it A, B, C, or is it D, all of the above? Great, okay, just close that one down as well. Share the results with you. So a quarter of you, 25% going for a section on the report, and the rest of you, or the majority, going for option D, all of the above. Right, quickly move on to the last question in this round. So question 15. So question 15, which filter will return customer accounts that begin with the letter A? Is it A, sales ledger account reference? So all of the starts are the same on these filters that we've put. Is it like A? Is it equals A? Or is it option C, starts with A? So which of those filters would return customer accounts that begin with the letter A? Thoughts coming through thick and fast there. So again, if you choose your answer, remember to click submit. Excellent. I think all of you just about voted there. So I'll quickly share those results with you as well. So 14% of you going for equals A, excuse me, the rest of you going for starts with A. Right, let's crack on with some answers for round 3 then. So round 3 answers, question 11. Which table contains the variables for the customer record? So we had a 50-50 split on here. It is sales ledger. I think historically, customers, you would refer to it as your sales ledger. Your suppliers, you would refer to that as your purchase ledger. And that terminology has never changed as far as the report designer is concerned. So it is the sales ledger that would contain those variables. Again, remember there's that great resource in the help center should you need it. Okay, give yourself a point if you got that right. Question 12. Expressions can contain only numeric data. False. Expressions can contain numeric data to perform a calculation, but text, data, and alphanumeric characters can also be used. So not that we demonstrated it in the webinar itself, but if you think about generating emails, for instance, your an expression in the subject line of an email generated by Sage could be something like your company name, so getting it to pull the variable through, plus maybe some text. So that might be the your text, whatever you choose. It could be, you could use variables as well for that matter. So you might have things like the invoice number pull through automatically, the due date pull through automatically, that type of thing. So we'll answer that one was false. Question 13, which expression would show the account reference and name in the following format? It is option B. So remember, inside the brackets or the quotation marks is essentially the text that we're after. Now you need to include the spaces. You may remember that when we talked about the formatting, I think we had a few questions around this one. Do I need to insert spaces sort of either side of the plus sign? You don't. It will have no bearing. The reason for inserting these spaces either side of the plus sign is just to make it a little bit easier to read. So if you come to troubleshoot that and you're looking at it and think, oh, where do I go from here? Just to help you with that bit better sort of understanding of what's in your expression. It helps if you've got those spaces in there, but it would be option B in this case to include the space either side of the dash in the outputted results. Question 14, a filter can be added to which of the following? It is D, all of the above. Now, all we actually covered in the webinar itself was the adding filters to the report itself. I don't think we actually covered section filters or object filters. If you do want more information about that, again, it's all about, or you want to develop your knowledge and take that further forward. If you do, there is information on how to do that and more information about sort of things like section filters and object filters that's available from our help center. But we tend not to go that too in depth in report design on the webinars because there's just not the demand for it. So if I was to put that webinar out there and say advanced filters on objects, I'd probably get 2 or 3 max registering for a session like that at any one time. So you might think it'd be good for you if it was there, but actually for me, the preparation involved and the time involved in delivering that, it just wouldn't be. And then the final question around which filter will return only customer accounts that begin with the letter A. It is C is the right answer. So starts with A. If you were to go to equals A, then it's just going to, literally, it would only find the one account if there was an account reference of A only. And similar for answer A, if it was like A, it would need to be A only. There is an option to use wildcards on filters. So something like where you could put like A and then a percentage sign. So percentage sign meaning any sort of string of characters after the letter A. So that would be the equivalent of starts with A. So a number of options. Again, we always say there's sometimes more than one, more often than not, there's multiple ways to crack the same nut when it comes to things like reporting and applying filters. Right, let's move on to that final round. Again, hopefully you're feeling quite confident. So question 16. So question 16, you can add criteria to a report header to show which criteria the report has been run for. So this is something what we briefly covered in the criteria webinar. So you can add essentially the criteria variables to a report header to show which criteria the report has been run for. Is that true or is it false? Again, let's quickly share the results with you. So everyone that voted there, that submitted in time, went for true. Brilliant. Okay, let's move on to question 17. So question 17, if you don't need to see a section on a report or layout, you can hide it. Is that true or is it false? Again, we touched on this briefly in the, I think it was the groups and sections session that we ran. So if you don't need to see a section on a report or layout, you can hide it. Is that true or false? Quickly share the results again. So 83% of you going for true and 17% of you going for false. So 3 questions to go. Is anyone going to get them all right? So question 18, I'll launch that one for you. So question 18, on a multi-page report, where would objects in the report header section show? Would they not appear on your multi-page report? Would they appear on page 1 only? Or would they appear on all pages? So if it's a multi-page report, so any objects in the report header section on that report, where would they show? So if you were to print that out, would they not show at all on the report? Would it be page 1 only, or is it all pages? Right, okay, so we've got, oh, it's just popped up there. I thought I wasn't going to show you there. So we've got 40% of you going for page 1 only and 60% of you going for it would appear on all pages. Question 19. So question 19, what's the impact of adding a group to a non-grouped report? So remember when we dealt with the customer list, and we used that as the non-grouped report, and we added a group to the report. We did it for products and services as well. So when we added that, what happened? Is it A, a new page header and footer are added? Is it B, a new group header and footer are added? Is it C, a new report header and footer are added? Or is it D, all of the above? So which do you think? Does it add a page header and footer, a group header and footer, a report header and footer, or all of those? Quickly share the results for question 19. So 80% of you going for a new group header and footer, and 20% of you going for a report header and footer are added to the report. Final question in the round. So question 20. Similar theme. When a group is added, a data sort is automatically applied. Is that true or is it false? So when you add a group to a report, a data sort is added automatically. Is that true or false? Right, let's share the results with you on question 20. So we've got 60% if you're going for true and 40% if you're going for false. Right, let's get some answers to round 4. So question 16, you can add criteria to report header to show which criteria the report has been run for. The answer is true. So it's not done automatically. So that criteria that pops up when you go to run a report, where it prompts you for things like date range, customer from, customer to, maybe nominal code, department, that type of thing. So the sort of the runtime variables, that the criteria values window that pops up. If you add anything to there, it won't necessarily include that information on the report. So you can add that. So those variables that you'd be after, you would find them in the criteria table. Just a case of adding those in, just so you can see when you're looking at a saved copy or a printed copy, you can see the criteria that was specified when that report was run. But it does need to be done manually. It won't add it in automatically for you. Question 17, if you don't need to see a section on a report or layout, you can hide it. Yep, true, you can. So remember that one, when a section is highlighted in the properties pane. So remember that properties pane in the top right corner? If you went into there, it's normally in the upper right hand corner. So when you click it, it sort of expands the panel down the side, and there's a visible property. So that can be changed from true to false. So if you don't want to see that section, switch that to false. Question 18, on a multi-page report, where would objects in the report header section show? They would show on page 1 only. It's the heading for, or the header for, the report itself. So anything in that section would just show essentially on page 1. If it was on the page header, then it would appear on all pages. Similar for the footer sections as well. So if it's in a multi-page report and it's the report footer, you're going to see that on the end of the last page only. If it's in the page footer, you'll see that at the bottom of each page. It depends how you want that to show with the design of your reports. Question 19, what's the impact of adding a group to a non-grouped report? It basically adds a header and footer section for that group. So remember when I can't remember which one we did it for now. I feel it was the products and services. I think when we added that, it added that section above and below. It is a group header and footer that are added. And then the final question, when a group is added, a data sort is automatically applied. It's true. Now you won't see that group by going into, when you're in the report designer, by going to report and sorts, but it will automatically apply a sort based on the group that you've added. So if that grouping is based around like account reference or something of that description, there'll be an ascending order, those groups, based on that, the group you've added. Right, now for these quizzes, we always have one final round. So let's see if I can find the right one for today. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop an anagram on, which is something to do with what we've covered in the report design series of webinars. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to submit your answer via the questions panel. So get ready to do that. Remember to click the send option as well. So let me bring that up. So today's anagram is astounding process. And your clue for today's anagram is the parts. So what could that be an anagram of? You know, pop your answer into via the questions panel and get that submitted. We'll see if anyone gets that today. So astounding process. And your clue is to do with the report design series. The clue is the parts. I'll just give it about a minute just to see if anyone pops an answer in. So see if you can work that out. Well, we've not had one yet, so am I just going to have to reveal the answer to see what it is? Right, okay, I'll reveal the answer. So it was groups and sections. I thought that was quite difficult myself, and I thought, oh, that comes up straight away, just 2 words, look quite difficult. So groups and sections, we did an introduction to that one. Which one was that one? Was that session 4, I think it was? Again, any of those sessions, remember the recordings are available. So let me know how you got on. Again, use the questions panel, pop in an answer. How did you get on? Give me an idea. Did you do better than you thought? Was it a lot worse than you thought? Are you going to go away and watch any of the recordings again? Remember, we are running them live again, starting from tomorrow. So you're more than welcome to come along to those sessions if required. So as I said, let me know how you got on though. Right, just while we're doing that, remember loads of webinars. We have the October timetable is published at the moment, so we run right up until the end of October. We shortly be deciding on our topics for November. If there's anything you'd like to see, do let us know. Just pop it on the little survey that appears as you leave today's session if there's anything you'd like to see covered going forward, or just reply to any of the webinar emails. Jessica, you said you got 50%. 50%. I think for report design, if you've never touched it before, there's a lot to take in. Quite daunting when you first go in there. We've tried to break it down this time round into very almost like bite-sized chunks. There's a lot to learn in there. So if you are wanting to become an expert, and I've done it for years, and I would still say I'm nowhere near an expert. I think of all of the presenters that we have on the webinars, probably Tina's got the most on there. Most knowledge, I should say. Nikki, you mentioned you did a little bit better than you thought as well. Right, okay, so as I say, loads of webinars, the link's included on your follow-up email. You'll receive that in round about an hour's time. A recording to today's session will also be included. Let me know as well if you're getting the captions along the bottom as I'm talking. It's fairly new, so we're sort of trying that out a little bit today. You might see more of that coming in. So just as I'm talking, you might get the sort of the subtitle captions along the bottom. Do let me know if you've got that. I'll be really interested to see if that's working. And do you find it distracting or not if you've got that switched on? Right, now we'll end the webinar just at that point. Many thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it and give you a little bit of food for thought, or maybe it's given you a little bit of reassurance for those of you that have done quite well. Do take that minute to complete the survey. Your follow-up email will be with you in roundabout hour's time. And the badges, just as a reminder, they will be issued via email once we've completed the repeat series in October. So that's going to be to around about, I was trying to think off the top of my head, be around about the 22nd, I think. That's sort of that Friday of round about that time. Right, we'll end the webinar at that point. Many thanks for coming along. Hopefully we'll see you on some of the other sessions soon. Many thanks.